David. So how have you improved the Dragon Age experience for console players?
Well, really what we want to do with Dragon Age 2 is focus on three key areas. We wanted to focus on the graphics, we wanted to focus on the combat, and we wanted to focus on the story. When I mean story, it's not necessarily the writing, because everybody really liked the writing from Origins. It's more along the lines of how we tell the story, fixing things like the player VO, fixing the pacing, things like that. So in terms of the graphics, you'll notice, the graphics speak for themselves. Take a look at the game, download the demo on the 22nd of February, and then you can fully experience it. In terms of the combat, really wanted to make it much more of an action-oriented experience that was very responsive, right? In Origins, you basically would say, attack that guy, and he would run over and do what I call the shuffle, shuffle, slash, right? He'd shuffle around, and he'd swing the sword. Now what we want to do with Dragon Age 2 is make it so that when you press a button, something awesome happens. So button awesome are connected now in Dragon Age 2, right? And it creates a much more of a visceral kind of, intense experience. When you play through Dragon Age 2, you can play it one of, three different ways. You can play it strictly as an action RPG, you can play it strictly as a tactical strategic RPG, pausing every second, even on console, and really take it that way, or you can do anything in between and switch between the two on the fly. We've given the choices of, how you play this game, really made it up to the player. So if you want to play it very casually, you can do that. If you want to play it very hardcore, like Origins, you can absolutely do that as well. Finally, with the story, we've told the game through what's called a frame narrative, which allows us to cover a much wider spectrum of time and allows you to see much more kind of responses faster to the choices you make. It's the most responsive game that BioWare has made to date.
Sweet. So can you tell me a little bit about the three character classes and the advantages and disadvantages of each?
So one thing that we had in Dragon Age Origins, we had the same three character classes of on a base level. There's the warrior, the mage, and the rogue. In Origins, there was a difference between the mage and then you had the warrior rogue, kind of coupled this together, right? They're very clearly distinct classes in Dragon Age 2. In Dragon Age 2, mages are kind of like field artillery, shooting spells off into the distance and whatnot. Your warrior is kind of like your battle-hardened, giant tank-like kind of guy who's a little bit slower but a hell of a lot stronger. Whereas a rogue is kind of like a ninja hopping all over the place, using very agile, very stealth-like moves, things like that. They're very clearly distinct classes depending on the kind of play style that you want to do. And the beautiful thing about Dragon Age is anytime you can switch between the other characters in your party. So if you made your main character a rogue and you decide, I really like being more of a mage, just switch over to your mage character and play that way.
Sweet. Can you tell me a little bit about the visuals of Dragon Age 2 and the new visuals and the new visual direction you took?
So one of the things we wanted to do with Dragon Age 2 is really focus on the graphics. A lot of people looked at the console version of Dragon Age Origins, they weren't very impressed. So we wanted to blow them away with Dragon Age 2. What we've done is we've changed the whole different, not only did we do a lot of technical stuff, a lot of technical jargon I'm not going to get into, but really what we wanted to focus on was the art direction. That's kind of the biggest departure. So in Dragon Age Origins, the game looked like, 20 different games depending on where you were, right? There wasn't that kind of visual consistency. So the art director, Matt Goldman, really wanted to create that with Dragon Age 2. So wherever you go in the game, whatever environment, it looks and feels like Dragon Age 2. It's got its own, signature look that's very distinct from other games. You just feel like you're part of this Dragon Age 2 world.
Excellent. Was there anything that you wanted to do in the first game that you weren't able to do, ended up having to get cut, that you were able to do in Dragon Age 2? And conversely, was there anything you tried to get into Dragon Age 2 that had to get cut due to time restrictions or development?
So, really, the way that we develop our games is, we're constantly looking at the fan feedback, and we're looking at, what the press has to say, and what we have to say as gamers and fans, and, we try to put everything as we possibly can into our games, right? And, Dragon Age Origins is a very complete experience. We did a lot of things, we think really well, and a lot of things that maybe weren't as well. With Dragon Age 2, we really wanted to kind of improve upon the things that, people didn't really like, and, really kind of, take the things that people like to the next level, which is where we got the focus on the combat and the story and the graphics. In terms of, are there anything left out in Dragon Age 2 that made it on the cutting room floor? Not really. Really the team was pretty clear on the directives, right? We really wanted to stay true to a simple concept of, we wanted to maintain the things that worked really well with Origins and then make, giant leaps in the things that didn't work as well. As long as, all of the improvements really focused in, how we tell the story, how you fight in combat, and how the game looks. That was the three areas of focus we kind of, since the get-go, we really hold true to that. Now that said, there's a robust DLC plan for Dragon Age 2, just like there was in Origins. I can't go into a lot of specifics, but we have already announced one of those pieces of DLC. It's the Exile Prince, which comes out on March 8th. You got it for free if you got ahead of the game and got the signature edition. And if not, you can definitely pick it up on PSN day one. And we'll be following that up with other content in the future. And we feel pretty good about Dragon Age 2, and hopefully that when the fans pick it up, they'll agree.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the Exile Prince pack?
So the Exile Prince is our first piece of DLC content, and it really focuses around the character of Sebastian Vale. Sebastian Vale is a character who has noble origins and noble birth, and he finds out that his parents get brutally murdered. So he's out for blood. So it's really up to you to decide what you want to do with that. He's a companion character. He joins your party. You can decide if you want to go through his story and help him out and avenge his family, or you can just say, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to take him on my path and go have at it. So really, it's a fun character. It's fully voiced. It's a lot like Shale was in the Stone Prisoner DLC pack for Dragon Age Origins, and I think you guys will enjoy it.
Sweet. How have the Darkspawn changed in Dragon Age 2 from the first game?
So really, in terms of what we've done with the Darkspawn, is just giving them a new visual look, which you've seen with a lot of the characters. A lot of making it, much more kind of darker and grittier. You've seen the Darkspawn having, again, more consistency, right? You don't see like this weird blue ogre Darkspawn guy, and then the Hurlock was completely different, right? We have ogres in Dragon Age 2, there's Hurlocks in Dragon Age 2, but they have consistencies. They look like they're actually part of the same kind of, family of Darkspawn. And that's really kind of, consistent with what we've done with the visuals, right? Again, it goes back to really wanting to make the visuals have its own identity that looked like it all came from the same place.
Can you tell me a little bit about Felicia Day's upcoming series, Dragon Age Redemption? What will it be about? When and where will it be available, and will it be free or paid content?
So we've just announced recently that Felicia Day is partnering with us. We're really excited about that. Felicia's done some amazing work with the Guild, and it's really an honor to have her as part of the Dragon Age lore, working up on a follow-up series to the Guild called Dragon Age Redemption. So we haven't gone into too many details about Redemption at this time. It's still, a ways away. We've told people summer of this year. So we'll be going out more details to come, but what we can say at this time is that it's a 6-part web series that will, it will kind of overlap and take place in the Dragon Age 2 timeline. And we have a couple of really cool surprises about the web series still to come.
Very cool. I've got a couple of community questions from the PS3.
What?
Community questions
sure.
from our community for you. From PS3 Freak 18, will any of your decisions from the original Dragon Age have any effect on the story in Dragon Age 2, i.e. Mass Effect 2?
Yeah. What was the guy's name?
PS3 Freak 18.
Alright, so PS3 Freak 18, your question is, do I get to import my Shepard equivalent? Well, the answer to that is yes and no. So Dragon Age 2 is a brand new story, it's a brand new character, this character of Hawke. You don't get to import your Grey Warden like you could Shepard. But that said, what we wanted to make sure we did is we didn't want to just say, you know what, PS3 Extreme, or what's his name?
The guy's name, PS3 Freak 18.
Freak. I'll do the whole thing over again.
No worries.
So, we didn't want to say, PS3 Freak 18, you went through all the trouble in Origins, you played all the DLC, you decided some big, game-changing decisions. Because that's one of the beautiful things about Dragon Age is that these choices you make have these rippling consequences which shapes the whole world. Well, it wouldn't be fair for us to say, well, you crowned Alistair king in Dragon Age Origins, but you know what, in Dragon Age 2, you were wrong, man. It was really an honor. That would suck, and you wouldn't be too happy at us, and we wouldn't be happy with us either. So, one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did is that while you can't bring your Shepard across like you could in Mass Effect, what we can do is that state of the world, these big kind of events that have shaped the sandbox that is PS3 Freak 18s, we're going to let you bring that into Dragon Age 2. So key choices like who you've made king, who's alive, who's dead, things like that you will see into Dragon Age 2. Now for all those people who didn't play through Dragon Age Origins, that's totally cool. When you make your character creation screen and you get to change the appearance and the name of your character, you have an option that says the state of the world. You can actually pick between 3 default different states of the Dragon Age world. So, whether you killed yourself or all these different things that could have happened. I don't want to spoil it too much here with Dragon Age Origins, but you can choose between 3 different kind of predisposed backgrounds, or you can import your own. So really it's something for everybody.
Excellent. The same guy also asked, will Dragon Age 2 be longer than the original Dragon Age, and also how does the difficulty compare to the first game?
So, in terms of, length, it's really hard for us to say and answer the length question, right? It's one of the hardest questions, and we get it all the time because it's such a subjective question, right? It really depends on playstyle. Like I don't know how long it took you, PS3 Freak 18 to play Dragon Age 2 or Dragon Age Origins, right? Yeah. It took, some people. I can tell you that we have testers at BioWare who can finish Dragon Age Origins in 30 hours. Does that mean it's a 30-hour game? No, probably not, right? We have people like, Ray Muzica, the founder of BioWare, co-founder. He beat it in 110 hours. Does that mean it's a 110-hour game? Yeah. So you can't answer that question, right? What I can say is that, it's a BioWare game. You're not going to feel cheated. You're not going to go play Dragon Age 2 and be like, oh man, I totally got ripped off. It's a 5-hour game. I beat it in a weekend. You won't beat this game in a weekend unless you stay up the whole time playing and don't go to sleep and don't eat, which I wouldn't recommend because you can die doing that. So you definitely feel like you got your money's worth. In terms of size and scope, it's probably similar to Mass Effect 2. Definitely a lot bigger than Awakening, so you don't have to worry about that. And in terms of your follow-up question to, I don't know, what was the other?
It was length and difficulty.
Oh, in terms of difficulty, we have a lot of difficulty settings in Dragon Age 2, just like we did in Origins. You play the game on casual if you're kind of a guy who just wants to get the story and get through the combat with little thinking of tactics and strategy. You can go normal if you want to do like some switching of the party members and be a little bit more tactical, or you can go to a much advanced or harder difficulty levels if you really want to be freaking out and going pausing every second, being very tactical, taking advantage of the cross-class combos, and really kind of unlocking the true meat of Dragon Age 2. So the gauntlet's been thrown, PS3 Freak 18. If you think you have what it takes, play the game on the hardest score difficulty and see if you can beat it.
Excellent. Last community question: will Dragon Age 2 have a New Game Plus mode from user Stevie?
A New Game Plus?
New Game Plus. Like, what if you beat the game? Will you be able to go into the game again with all your gear and replay with all your leveled up characters and gear? It's alright if you don't know.
I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
Alright, I guess we'll find out.
I mean, obviously the game is all about replay, right?
Yeah.
And you can play the game multiple times, and we encourage that because depending on even as simple as what class you pick, something traumatic happens in the very beginning of the game. So when you get the demo on February 22nd on PSN, you can play it and play as a mage and then play as a warrior and see what happens, because you'll see it right in the demo and you'll be like, holy crap, I love this game. It's just like, it's everything that I would expect in a BioWare game, right in the first 10 minutes. So certainly people will want to replay it for those reasons. In terms of can I when I finish the game, obviously there's an end state of the game where you can then go and put in DLC to play those missions. In terms of going back and playing and getting like the same loot and whatnot, it's more of in terms of replay. We're really encouraging you to, if you're going to play the game over again, play it with a different character so you can see all of the story. Because again, it's a Dragon Age game, which means that every choice you make has these rippling consequences that makes it a different experience. So if you play the game 9 different times, you're going to get 9 different experiences, and that's what's kind of cool about the game.
Excellent. Any last comments before we wrap up?
Dancing around that. No, you know what? The team's been really hard at work on Dragon Age 2. It's the same people who made Dragon Age Origins, and really we hope that you guys play it on March 8th and really feel that you were satisfied as BioWare fans. Everything we do is